will you please tell our victims what movie we will be discussing tonight?
A little overboard there. A little bit.
Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Lynn.
Is Tamara home?
Tonight, you will bear witness to the second installment of Tony's Tales of Terror, where our resident horror buff, Tony, will choose one horror movie for us to watch and discuss. Tony, will you please tell our victims what movie we will be discussing tonight?
We will be discussing the completely underrated 2008 movie, The Strangers.
The Strangers is a 2008 horror movie written and directed by Brian Bertino, starring Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it and then come back and listen to the podcast, if you dare. But before we get into it, let's run the trailer.
So
Lynn, would you?
A little overboard there. A little bit.
I just want to tell you something.
What do you want to tell me?
You are my girl.
I love you, Jimmy.
What is that?
It's okay, there's nothing here. I haven't heard a dog bark or a car pass. Nothing.
There's someone out there.
Hello?
What is it?
It's my phone.
Oh my God.
We gotta get out of here. Now open the door, and I just want you to run, okay?
Why are you doing this to us?
Because you were home.
I am ready with a synopsis.
Okay.
Kristen and James are expecting a relaxing weekend at a family vacation home, but their stay turns out to be anything but peaceful. First, a mysterious and dangerous woman arrives at their door while James is out on an errand. When he returns, he accidentally kills his friend Mike, mistaking him for an intruder. And then the real danger does show up in the form of 3 masked torturers, leaving Kristen and James struggling for survival.
I have thoughts. Okay, it is time for Dez's 4 and 1 fun and fake facts, where I give you 4 real facts and 1 fake fact. And it is up to my co-host to decide which fact is total bullshit. Number 1, Liv Tyler suffered from tonsillitis during the shooting of the film. Number 2, this film was partially based on an experience Brian Bertino had as a small child. Number 3, during an interview, Kurt Russell publicly admitted him. Number 4, before Aerosmith, a teenage Steven Tyler was in a band called The Strangers. And number 5, the song Mama Tried, which is heard playing throughout the movie while performed by Merle Haggard and The Strangers, was actually written by the great Johnny Cash and Eddie Arnold. Okay, Tony, which fact is fake?
The laryngitis.
And Lynn, which fact do you think is fake?
Kurt Russell.
You are both wrong. I dug deep for this one. I'm going to be trying to stump you guys going forward. So the fake fact actually is number 5. The song was in fact played and performed by Merle Haggard, but it was also written by Merle Haggard. So there you go. That's your fake fact.
That seems to be a trick. That was a trick.
Yeah.
Well, why? I mean, he wrote the song. Johnny Cash and Eddie Arnold had nothing to do with it. Though they were both large country singers in 1968 when Merle Haggard and the Strangers released the song. Okay. With a budget.
Did I miss a chapter here? Is there a missing reel here? What the hell happened here?
Oh my God.
The budget
He's
for this
losing it.
movie was $9 million and the box office gross was $82 million. So this movie smashed all expectations. And yeah, that's all I got. So Tony, you got any opening thoughts?
Okay, like I introduced it, it's just one of those movies that as soon as someone goes, all right, what can you recommend that's really scary? This is usually in the first 3 recommendations. Just huge fan of this movie.
Cool. Delyn?
So when I started the movie and it says it's based on a real story, I immediately paused the movie and said, what real story is The Strangers based on? Because I had to know, because I like true crime. So I'm like, I must have heard of it. And I've heard of both of them, of the things. It was the Sharon Tate murder and the Ketty cabin murder. And honestly, I feel like it's very loosely based on, like, they just took items out of it, like the writing on the wall and stuff like that. Because I was actually thinking like, oh, this is based on like this is actually a real story, but it's really not. So
right.
I was a little disappointed because I was like, oh, this is based on a real story. And it's not really like,
right.
It was slightly misleading that they said that.
Yeah. And what's interesting about this one, Tony, like in the original Halloween movie, we were talking about how some of the scenes were shot with the handheld camera. This entire movie was shot with handheld cameras. Am I right?
Yeah. Okay, I noticed that because there's movement of the camera, whether it's going in to the side, to the left. There's always some sort of like you're looking through the camera kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I actually disliked it for certain scenes. Like obviously the scenes when they're under attack, it made perfect sense because you feel that discombobulation. But there were scenes when they first come home and they're talking to one another and it's like calm. I mean, obviously the two of them are upset, but it's a calm moment. And the camera was like moving all over the place. And I'm like, well, I feel like I'm on a ship. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. When I realized Liv Tyler was in this movie, I got excited because I don't like Liv Tyler. I think she is freaking like a lizard. And I enjoyed watching her be tortured. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I also really liked the way this movie was shot. I like the kind of jerky camera work and stuff. And I really, really like the opening scene where you're getting the view from the car window driving and they're showing you different houses. And I did read this. I don't know if it's an actual fact or not, that he was modeling each house after a house in a different horror movie, like Amityville Horror, Halloween. Did you know that, Tony?
I didn't pick up on that, and I didn't know that fact. That's an interesting fact.
Yeah, I mean, it might be one of my bullshit facts, but I'm about 86% sure that is true, that each house is supposed to bear resemblance to a different house in a very popular horror movie.
Now I'm going to have to go back.
Yeah, there was one that looked very much like the house from Nightmare on Elm Street. So saying that kind of rings a little true, but I don't know about the other ones.
It's true. Okay. All right, let's get into it.
All right. So a boy's voice is making a 911 call. He's distressed and claims there's blood everywhere. 2 Mormon boys have discovered a grisly scene. Now it switches, like you obviously get a glimpse into where we're going to end up at the end of the movie with that scene. But now we back up. James, played by Scott Speedman, and Kristen, played by Liv Tyler, are driving home. The tension between them is apparent. When they arrive at the house, there are rose petals strewn all over the place. James had set up a romantic evening for their return, and plans obviously went south. He calls his friend Mike to come and get him in the morning and tells Kristen to take the bedroom and he'll sleep in the living room. Flashing back to the wedding they were at, he asked her to marry him, and since they're barely speaking now, it's obvious it didn't go well. Despite that, they end up just about to have sex when there's a knock at the door. A young girl is outside. She asks for Tamara, and James tells her she has the wrong house. The girl says, "Are you sure?" Then she leaves, and he steps outside, and he twists the bulb on the porch light so it comes back on. The camera pans into the woods, and you can hear footsteps. So I just wanted to say really quickly, obviously the girl unscrewed the light bulb before knocking.
Yeah.
Because if
Sabotage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also in the scene where they're at the wedding and they're out in the parking lot, they make a point of showing this blurry car pull up behind them. And I think it was the pickup truck. And I think they were watching them the entire time, that they started there.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, it was.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was weird because I said, well, that was kind of odd. Like, here they are in this parking lot. Nobody's really even there. And then all of a sudden this kind of blurry car pulls up right behind Liv Tyler's head. And it's like a lighter car. And I'm like, I wonder if I'll see that car later. And I think it might have been them.
Well, this gives a new meaning to Wedding Crashers. Ha! Psh! Be here all night.
So thoughts on this scene from you guys?
Tony, go ahead.
I like the dynamic. I like the fact they told a story without us really even knowing what the real situation was. So like, like a few minutes later, like just the tears down her face. Obviously they're not talking. We've all been in that car before. Not a fun car to be in. And just, I thought it was really, really well done. And just, the awkwardness between the two as they get to the cabin, like, all right, who's going to do what? Should you go? I'll be over here. I'll get away, just very awkward. Really, again, I bought into their relationship. I thought it was great. And then the knock at the door. And see, I'm a Blair Witch guy. What you don't see is scarier than what you're going to see.
Yes.
So like the voice through the door scene was just chilling to me.
Yes.
I thought it was good. I right away, I fucking can't stand Liv Tyler. Always. And it's just Liv Tyler. She's just like, ugh,
some people just rub you the wrong way. And
yeah.
she's got you.
And she was just being like, so like, she's so whiny, pouty. She's got fucking dragon breath because she smokes and just, no thanks. I think that James dodged the bullet here. I think James could do better.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't into James's fiance there, they were both very they both seemed very lethargic. Like you're like, and then we get the knock at the door, and like you said, it's the girl, and she's like, and the whole thing is just very lethargic and strange. But I mean, it's setting a pretty cool vibe.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I've definitely been in that conversation with somebody where something is not right with your relationship and you both are just like drained. So I kind of get it,
Yeah, it's called marriage.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So the other thought was, I mean, let's face it. If I was in this movie and there was a knock at the door, the movie would be over because I would never answer the door. Like, I would just be like, I'm not answering that.
So here's the other thing. So he's asked this woman to marry him, and he's planned this like special thing with the rose petals, right? So I think even if she had said yes at the wedding, when he pulls up at this moldy old 1970 house with like the big bubble TV and a record player, I'd be like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? You couldn't get a room at like the Hilton or something? Like, you're taking me here, there's spider webs and creepy crawlies everywhere. We're in the woods. I don't like this house. I don't think this is a romantic getaway.
Well, it's a family cabin. I'm sure she's been there. If he's asking her to marry her, she's been around a while. So she's probably been to the cabin a few times.
Let's go do it in my bunk bed. This is where I grew up.
Oh my God.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next scene.
Moving on. Kristen says she's out of cigarettes and James offers to go to the store and get her some. He lights her a fire and he leaves. After he's gone, there's another knock at the door. She doesn't open the door, but does speak through the door. The woman is back and she asks if Tamara is home again. And when Kristen says, "You already came here," she says, "Are you sure?" Which is exactly what she responded to James, telling her that she had the wrong house earlier.
Right.
Yep. So now Kristen hears the wind chimes out back, and it sounds like a little bit more violent than just the chimes chiming normally. So she peers out the window. There's nothing there. Suddenly, the smoke from the fire is filling the room instead of going up and out the chimney. So she climbs up to unhook the fire alarm, and the banging is at the door again. Her cell phone is dead, but she calls James from the landline and asks him to hurry back before the phone goes dead. So to me, this piece here that comes right here is the scariest scene in the entire movie. She walks into the kitchen for a glass of water, but behind her, a figure with a mask steps out and is watching her, and she has no idea he's there. And to me, this was the most unnerving part of the whole movie. I was like, oh, no, I don't like that.
Yeah,
that's one of those terrifying scenes because there's no musical cue, no musical sting. It's one of those, if you're not looking for it, you might not even see it right away.
Yeah, because he's kind of blurry and he's far enough in the background that you might not even notice he's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was scary. It was a jolting thing. But the problem was she's already made like 3 horrible decisions before we get this great shot. All right. The fire is backing up, smoke is starting to come into the house. And at first I thought maybe they were trying to smoke her out. I thought maybe they had clogged the chimney. Did you guys get that? Or did you think that James just forgot to open the flute?
You forgot to open the flute because she reached up inside and opened it up. And then
I thought so. But then her first phone call is to James. My first phone call would have been to the police at this point. I mean, you've now had the knocking, you've heard the thing, you're getting the banging. So I would have called the cops first. And before any of this happens, after the psychopath knocks on the door and she's like, are you sure? I'm like, all right, Dylan, this is me and you need cigarettes. I'm like, all right, listen, I'm going to jump in the car. It's probably going to take me about a half an hour to get to the store. We're in the middle of nowhere. Sit tight. I'll build you a fire. Are you staying or are you going for the ride?
I'd be going for the ride. I wouldn't stay.
Yeah, everybody's going for the fucking ride. No one's staying for fucking crazy girl to come back, which she basically is going to do. But yeah, okay. So that's what I thought of those scenes. But
I mean, we're just nitpicking the decisions. But yeah,
no, I'm not nitpicking the decisions. These are obvious decisions. Liv Tyler is dumb as fuck in this movie. But the mask scene is fucking it's really beautiful. Really scary. I think I actually got a jump scare and it wasn't a jump scare. So well done.
He actually comes out very slowly and he just stands there. He doesn't do anything. He's just watching. And it was like,
just ominous.
Yes. But go ahead, Tony.
I know, it's terrifying when one of the scariest things is like, you're looking straight ahead, but who's to say something's not behind you?
Oh, yeah.
It's always that. Did I just see that out of the corner of my eye or didn't I? And that plays fear of that.
As I get to know these killers more and more, though, I have thoughts on these killers. And like there's killers in movies we've already done where these killers are physically imposing and very dangerous, and there's pretty much nothing you could do to save yourself from these. Like Michael Myers, he gets his hands under your fucking toast. Jason from the Lake, he gets his hands under your toast. 20-something Z generation Chad in a little suit, skinny little guy. I fucking choke that fucking kid out, man. That kid standing in my living room with an axe, I'm gonna fucking charge him. I'm gonna take him down. I'm gonna choke him out and knock those 2 little 15-year-old girls he's hanging out with unconscious with 1 shot each. And you give me a double barrel shotgun, I'm hunting these assholes. Nothing they can do to stop me. I'm the killer in this movie. And I think James was physically opposing enough, and I think James was also confident enough and seemed like a bit of a dick himself. He outweighed this killer by 35 pounds, and he had a double barrel shotgun. I'm not sure what they were thinking when they wrote this movie, but we'll get into it. Let's go.
I think we're already into it.
Let's go.
Oh my God. So Kristen hears a door close, though she is alone as far as she knows. She grabs a butcher knife and goes to investigate. The smoke detector she had left on the floor is now on a chair. There's another bang at the door, and then another. The door is rattling, and the wind chimes are violently rattling in the backyard. She peers out the back window, where the man in the white mask appears suddenly. She jumps back screaming, hitting the record player that starts skipping, while the knocking at the door starts up again. The door opens just enough for her to see a doll mask before she slams it shut and locks it again. And she had locked it. So I was like, how did they get it open? I don't know, but maybe he did it.
Yeah, he was in the house.
Right. So she runs to the bedroom where she cuts her hand on a lamp and is staring at the door, waiting for the footsteps that are approaching. And it's James. So I'm going to pause here so you guys can discuss that, because I thought that repeating record was creepy as hell. Like that freaked me out.
Tony, all the music in this whole thing is just the the slow, folky, creepy country childlike. It's just ooh, no.
Yeah,
I
like
loved
even when
it.
they were like, even before the guy they started attacking, the music was a little weird. I was
Oh,
like,
I-
ooh.
yeah.
I really liked the music they chose for this. I thought it was really cool. Like you said, that creepy folk music. In this scene, and I want to also point out that Liv Tyler is a big girl. She's a big girl. She outweighs both of these girls considerably, and she's a lot bigger than both of them. And I would give Liv Tyler a good chance against either one of these girls or both of them at the same time with a butcher knife. I mean, Liv Tyler with a butcher knife, she's no joke. And she opens this door up, and this fucking dumb little girl sticks her face, like literally almost like shoves her own face into the butcher knife. Like all Liv Tyler had to do was just straighten her arm out, and she's now killed one of these kids. She could have stuck that knife into that girl's eye with zero effort, but she opts to just slam the door in her face. Bad choice. And then she runs to the bedroom. I feel like Liv Tyler should have. I mean, you're in a fight for your life, and I can count probably at least 3 times in this movie when Liv Tyler could have gone one-on-one with these girls and opted not to. She opted to just be a victim, and I fucking hate that victim mentality. It's like, you're in a fight for your life. Let's see some survival instinct. Attack. Okay.
I'm just loving this entire thing.
He's literally off the rails. He's been like this since he watched it, just so you know.
Attack. Well, no, you don't think Liv Tyler could defend herself against that girl if they both had knives?
I mean, so here's the thing is when you're watching a movie, it's a movie. It's like, yeah, it's probably not really believable unless she's like a total like scaredy cat. But at the same time, it's like also Robert Downey Jr. is not putting on an iron suit and flying around LA either. So you have to like let go of a little reality to enjoy movies in general.
But when the director is giving you a tool, a plot device, for instance, they're going to give James a shotgun with an endless supply of shells, and your killers are armed with an axe. I mean, and James could have kicked the fuck out of that kid in a fist fight because he's like twice his size. It's like you're asking me not to ask these questions. It's like there's no way these guys are going to take me and you out to Lynn if I've got the shotgun and they're trying to come into this condo. It's not fucking happening. I'm killing people. I mean, Tony, are they getting into your house and killing your family if you've got a shotgun and they have a couple of kitchen knives? They're like teenagers in the neighborhood?
Nope.
No fucking way. No fucking way. But I'm sorry. I mean, I didn't want to have to do this, but I mean, the director forced me to by giving James a shotgun. Just don't give him the gun. Don't give him the gun. That's it. We don't need it. Gun doesn't have to be in the movie. Take it away. I won't mention the gun again.
They needed to wait for Mike to go away.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yes. True enough, right?
And poor Mike, he's the only one that gets it.
Well, I don't think he did. I think that's why he ended up dead. But
Well, no, I meant the only one that gets it with the shotgun. The only one James is the only one James is fucking able to fucking to clip is his best friend.
Right in the face.
Poor Mike. And then that strategy worked so well. I'd been like, well, I would have said, Kristen, well, listen, it sucks that Mike got fucking his head blown off, but this strategy seems to be working quite well. Let's stay here and now wait for the other 3 to walk through the door, and I'll fucking clip them too.
Pretty much. The reason I had to leave that room.
Oh, and Delin and I pointed this out. So it doesn't take a Navy SEAL to put this plan together. We got to get out to the garage to get the CB radio. Delin, take the butcher knife. We're going to walk back. I've got the shotgun. We're going to get out to that fucking garage. I'm going to fucking watch the door. You're going to make the call. No one's getting near us, period. He makes the mistake of going out there in the woods, crawling around when no one watching is fucking 6 o'clock. Bad choice.
You are jumping so far ahead.
I know.
Let's just get there.
Okay, let's roll it back. All right. So James assures her that there is no one there. As they walk through the house, it appears to be empty, save for them, but her cell phone is now in the fire. Kristen looks out the window, and the girl is staring at the house. James says he's left his phone in the car and he's going to go get it. When he goes outside, his windows are smashed. He looks for the phone, but it's not there. Someone touches the back of his neck, and he jumps out of the car to find the girl standing on the road staring at him again. He tells her to get lost, but he hears running footsteps in the woods and banging. Christian tries to get him to come back inside. Instead, he checks around the property and not seeing the girl anymore, he goes back inside finally. After bandaging her hand, he realizes his phone is sitting on the piano, but the battery's been removed. So quite clearly, these people have been in the house. They're coming in and out as they please. I'm not sure through which portal they're coming in and out through, but the fact that you're able to get in and leave the phone on the piano with no battery, you're getting in and out of the house and nobody can see you doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Dylan, so I come home and you tell me there was a fucking man in the kitchen with a white mask on. All right, you hang out here. I'm going to go out to my car and grab my phone. What are you saying?
Get the fuck back here.
or fuck you. We're going to both run to the car, get in the car, lock the doors, and use your phone as we drive out of town at 100 miles an hour. Listen, you ain't here, okay? Alone again, bleeding. I'll be back. Fuck you, dude.
Well, I mean, also that is like the rule of a horror movie is you don't separate. And they do that continuously in this movie, which is constantly separating. Like, let me go to the store. Let me go out to the barn. Let me dudes, just stay together. Stay together.
Oh my God. Yes. But you know what sucks about this, right? What's happening is that it is a beautifully shot movie. It is a scary movie. I was feeling anxiety while I was watching the movie, but then these bad decisions, like these like really moronic decisions these two are making, is kind of bumming me out. It's almost like becoming satire, like the one like Scream, because I'm laughing out loud when they're making these choices, which kind of sucked because I was really being drawn into the fear and the masterful movie making that the director was giving me, because it was a very scary looking movie. Yes.
Yeah, you were scared enough when the UPS guy came to the door that you were scared and you peered out the window. So.
Okay, funny story. So at the end of this, right at about the end, a UPS guy comes up the stairs, and I didn't know it was UPS guy. I just hear someone screaming. So I'm like, instantly my heart starts beating. So I run over to the door and I'm looking through the little peephole. It's very dark out. And as Lynn knows, our outside light is broken. So it's dark out there. And there's a guy standing in front of my neighbor's door. And he's screaming, UPS, UPS. But I can't understand what he's saying because I think the guy was like fucking on the spectrum or something. He's like, UPS, UPS. So we've got this little lock that pulls out and clicks over, and it holds like 800 pounds of pressure because I'm completely paranoid and I installed it. And I'm slowly trying to pull it and click it over without it making any noise and alerting the maniac outside my door.
The UPS driver.
and then I saw him walk down the stairs. I saw the UPS truck and my heart was pounding, and yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, it got me in the mood.
Oh,
I mean, that's one of the biggest things about it. It's just the direction, the camera work, the look of it, the sound direction. That's the other thing is like, I listen to it with headphones. So, the footsteps all around me, the wind chimes. I mean, it was just, I appreciate a movie with minimal soundtrack, really great sounds. Like if you can just put a whole movie of wind blowing, that's going to creep me the fuck out the whole movie.
Yeah. The audio was, like I said, the audio was great, and it got me. The movie got me a couple of times. There were some really good jump scares, and it all was very scary. But the director made some very, very questionable decisions that are going to affect my final score. I have to keep it real.
All right. Well, keeping it real, I'm getting back into the groove. So James decides that they have to go, finally. They get in the car, and the minute they try to leave, a pickup truck with another masked girl comes up behind them. She blocks them in and then rams them from behind. Kristen and James get out of the car and run back into the house. He searches the bookcases for a gun his father always had and hid. He finds it, and they go to the bedroom. The formerly closed curtains are open, and the hello is written all over the window. Something, mud maybe, I'm not sure what it was that was actually being thrown at the window. So it's loud and it's discombobulating, but it wasn't enough to break the window. So it wasn't a rock. And James looks in the closet for the shotgun shells. He gets them and they go to the door. His plan is for her to run, but before they can even open the door and have her run, one of them is using an axe to bust through the door. They block it with a piano, and then James takes a shot at the person on the other side of the door. And honestly, this was the first smart thing I had seen either of them do in this movie, was try to take a shot at them while the door was still protecting them a little bit, you know?
Yep.
But then instead of continuing shooting him, they take off back into one of the bedrooms. So I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. Like, you probably should have just continued shooting.
So I feel like this would have been more effective if instead of throwing mud at the windows, if the killer had been shooting at the house, just to let us know that he also was armed and this was going to be a fair fight, and that these killers weren't, showing up to a fucking gunfight with a knife. I mean, and so he takes the shot through the door, boom, blows the door open. Now, these three kids at this moment are going to realize, fuck, this guy's got a fucking shotgun. We're not equipped to pull this invasion off. We have an axe and two knives. This guy's got a fucking shotgun and he's taking shots. They're going to jump in that truck and take off. Just my opinion. And again, at that moment, this is where James has taken the upper hand. He should have fucking kicked that away and just chased them off with that shotgun. And they would have had no choice but to leave. No choice. That's it. Movie's over. And
Well, see, okay, so here's my thought, right? So if you want to use the gun as a device, for me, if he had stumbled with it or hadn't been able to use it properly or couldn't quite get it together right, it was
100%.
jamming.
Yeah.
Like then I believe it a little bit more. And then he, finally gets it together right before the thing with Mike happens. So
Yeah.
like if you had done that, but like instead he puts it together and he's able to use it. So it's
Yeah. He
functional.
almost takes the one guy's head off. I mean, the one guy just barely misses being fucking decapitated, and they're going to continue to try and get in this house. It's like, you've got no chance now. You cannot continue with this home invasion. You are outgunned, my friend. That axe ain't going to get it done, but it does.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Tony,
these two
any
deserve
thoughts
to
before
die.
we move over, before Des just completely steamrolls this entire
no,
movie?
please, I don't want to. Tony, go. Give us reasons why we like this scene.
I can't even follow you, dude. You're so angry. I like the fact that he basically says to her, she's like, we'll put it together. She's like, I thought you hunt with your uncle. He's like, oh, I just said that to be cool to you. So he had no idea how to use the gun.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's someone who's holding a gun he just put together. He's not even sure it really worked. And all of a sudden it does. Like, he looks as shocked as.
Yeah.
And who's to say they weren't already hearing what he was saying, since they knew everything else and they're already inside the house? Who's to say they didn't hear him say it already? And so that way they already know he's going to be a terrible shot. He's kind of pussy. He's not going to do anything. So we can keep this up. Now, the one thing that I'm kind of wicked jumping ahead with, the director, the director's commentary. And it was decided by the three killers that day that this was going to be the first kill they ever did.
Oh, really?
The three actors kind of got together and made this little thing. It's like, all right, we've always like made people scared. We've always done this, but it's never crossed that line. Like, tonight we need to do it. And that's why they're not good at it.
Wow. So kind of makes sense then. We've got some bumbling home invaders and some bumbling victims.
Exactly.
Interesting. Yeah, the only thing more dangerous than somebody that knows what they're doing with a gun in their hands is somebody that doesn't know what they're doing with a gun in their hands. You don't want to be sitting in a room with some guy holding a shotgun that's never held one before.
Yeah, good point.
Oh God. Yeah, well, that's interesting though. That's and it's actually scary. That actually is chilling that you would even say that, because you can imagine three psycho kids from the Midwest like hatching this plan. You know what I mean? Like, ugh.
Well, that's the thing, is they weren't kids; they were adults.
Young adults.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're 15-year-olds. I think they're like mid 20s.
Yeah, I took it as early 20s. I took them like 22, 23. But I mean, when you're an old fart like me, like the old Geico commercial guy, that's a kid.
Goddamn kids.
Blue. His hair was blue.
This is true, Tony. This man had purple and green hair back in like 82. And to this day, we go in someplace and he sees like a kid with like a punk hairdo and he's like, look at his hair. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Are you
First of
serious
all,
right now?
1982, I was 12, so.
Okay, well, you know what I'm saying.
But yes, we did see a punk at the flea market with a mohawk and dress. I'm like, oh my God, honey, look at that. Blue.
He's literally turned into one of the Geico commercials. It's terrible.
Yeah, I'm cleaning our garbage cans for sure.
Make sure you keep some ribbon candy in your pocket. You know? next to the crumpled up tissues.
I use my shirt. All right. Actually, I blow
Legitimately
my
right
nose into my
now-
tongue.
Oh God. Legitimately right now, I do have crumpled up tissues in my pocket of my cardigan, so I can say nothing.
You're
I'm just
wearing
as
a
bad.
cardigan.
I am wearing a cardigan.
That's
Okay.
all right there.
Yep. Just call me Nana.
Okay.
So the two of them hide in a storage room or an unused bedroom. I couldn't really tell. It was dark and a lot of boxes and stuff. And they aim the gun at the doorway. Outside, a car arrives and it's Mike, played by Glenn Howerton. Soon after arriving, a rock is thrown right through his windshield. Getting out, he sees the mess made to James's car. Music is playing loudly, and the two of them can't hear him calling hello and calling their names as he enters the house. Now, bad decision. Mike decides to creep through the house instead of turning off the music and being like, hey guys, what's going on? And he's going to get it one way or the other because the masked man brandishing an axe is right behind him, but he ends up getting both barrels to the face from James before the axe can get him. And I felt so bad for poor Mike. He was just trying to be a bro and go get his buddy and take him home.
Tony, take the scene.
Again, perfect. I love the cinematography of the scene. Silent. I mean, his apprehension of seeing his friend's car completely destroyed. It's like, all right, something really bad happened here. And I don't know if they're still here. So I'm going to kind of go through. And he did say hello as he walked. And the best part about it is right as he was about to say hello is when the shotgun happened.
Yes.
So
Yes. He literally was like,
seconds earlier, you might have been.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, cinematography of like Mike in the forefront of the shot, walking down the hall towards us, and behind him blurred out, the man in the sack mask with raising the axe is just completely like, just nightmare fuel right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There were some really, really good shots like that. But again, the guy pulls up in front of the house. You're in the middle of the woods. He's on the phone. Someone chucks a brick through his windshield. Like right away, my excitement level is going way up. And, I've seen the car smashed. I get to the door. I mean, I'm running. First of all, I'm probably not even getting out of the car at this point. I'm probably putting it in drive and taking off and calling 911. Hey, send a cop car to this address, blah, blah, blah. But if you were going to go into the house, maybe I'm just a chicken, but if you were going to go into the house, I run to the house. And as I'm coming to the door, I'm screaming, hey, are you guys okay? Hey, I'm screaming.
Exactly.
Someone just threw a brick out my fucking window. Things are turned over. I'm on high alert. My head's on a fucking swivel. No, this guy is coming in like he's coming into a surprise birthday party. Like he's tiptoeing into the house like, hey guys, you in here? Someone just knocked a brick to my window. Like, no, come on. This guy fucking deserved it, man. I wish he got hacked up by the axe.
Oh,
Dummy.
Oh, poor Glenn.
Yeah. His name's Mike, and he's a dummy.
Mike.
No, Glenn is the actor.
Oh, yeah. Well,
he's from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Funny.
These people they're just the most, like I said in my text to Tori, these guys are just the most willing victims. I've just never seen these people make so many bad decisions.
Also, like, I was questioning whether he thought that Kristen had destroyed the car. Like, if she had like a rage incident or something, or if maybe he had, like if James had done it.
It was funny because at the very beginning of the movie, okay, when James left to go get the cigarettes, I thought for a minute when she sees the guy standing in the kitchen behind her in the suit, I'm like, oh fuck, is that James? I'm like, is this what the movie is? Like, he's a psycho. But obviously that's not what happened. But that was my first kind of like, I try to figure out, like, is there going to be a hook in this movie? And
Right.
I kind of thought that might have been it, but it wasn't, obviously.
That would
Awesome.
have been a really cool concept, though, actually.
It would have been, right?
Could have worked.
Yeah, like he's so mad, and he actually is a really weird weirdo. Like, and that's the reason why she said no, is she thought something was a little left of center, and that's what it was. He's actually
Listen.
a serial killer psycho.
We're writing a movie here, you know. And then he leaves and comes back without the mask. He's like, hey, what's going on? She's like, there was a fucking guy here with a mask. He's like, oh my god, and yeah, okay, I'm liking that movie.
That actually sounds kind of cool.
The Man in the Mask.
Called Blumhouse.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. After discovering what he's done, James decides he has to do something else, and he wants to go to the barn where there's an old radio. He tells Kristen to hide, and of course, she's not going to do that. He pulls open the curtain, and the word killer has been written there. On his way to the barn, he sees one of them, the intruders, and goes to shoot them, just as he hears footsteps coming up on him fast, as he flips on his back just as the masked man attacks him. Back in the house, Kristen hears the gunshot, but instead of hiding like he told her to, she goes back outside to look. Waiting there, she hears the masked man approaching, so she runs off into the woods, still not wearing shoes, because you haven't put your shoes on yet? What are you doing? She trips on something and falls, and I think she either twists her ankle bad or breaks her ankle.
No, she stepped on a Lego. She did.
Maybe.
She did.
So she crawls away, and she's being followed, but when she looks back, there's no one there. She gets into the barn and finally finds the radio. She tries to use it, but there's no reply initially, and as soon as somebody does reply to her, the pinup girl mask appears and busts up the radio. She gets away and back into the yard, where she crawls back to the house when the lights go out. Looking out past the street, past the piano and the busted door, she sees that the streetlights are still on. She walks past the door and the piano starts playing. The masked man enters and he doesn't see her because she's she's stepped back a little bit and he doesn't see her. He walks in the other direction and she decides now it's finally time to hide. So she gets into a closet and the masked man walks away. She thinks she's safe, and just as she does, and she's peering through like the slots in the closet door, the doll face girl jumps into view. And this one got me. I wasn't expecting that. So that gave me a good jump scare.
So they both decide. And so in this scene, we're going to see they both make an attempt to get to the garage at separate times.
Mm-hmm.
If they just stuck together and gone together, go together, please go together. But they don't. They go separate times. And I'm going to say, so we're going to get some fucking awesome scenes here. So when the guy in the mask runs up on James, I jumped. I thought that was a really great scene. They misdirect. You get the view of the girl, and you're like, okay, he's gonna fucking clip this one, and he doesn't get the shot off enough to get her, because he's ransacked by the guy in the mask. But I thought that was a great shot, especially with the shaky cam, really effective. Yeah,
because by the time the camera switches to him, he's already on you.
On him.
Yeah. He's there.
Yeah,
that scared me.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you can just forgive the fact that, that James was dumb enough to get disarmed here at this moment, great movie making, like just beautiful horror, for sure. I can't deny it. So,
I mean, I really just, I had a problem with her not being in shoes. Like, they were in the bedroom, they were getting the shotgun shells, and he's telling her to make a run for it. She's barefoot. If she was going to make a run for it, wouldn't she throw her shoes on? Like,
she's sitting on the back porch having a cigarette. She's a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Why would you kneel down? You're in like the worst position. Come on.
Yeah, she's like in the fucking like the mafia hit style position. This fucking dipshit is laying down on his belly, but in front of a tree. It's like, dude, you got a fucking shotgun. Have you ever seen a Navy SEAL movie? Have you ever seen a movie walk with the gun on your shoulder? On a pivot, you will make it to the garage. Trust me, unless you do what you did. But I wanted.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, but I don't want to just say that it sucked because these two were making bad decisions, because the movie didn't suck and it was very, very scary. These two characters just weren't written like real people. Because I mean, even people that aren't super survivalists would be making better decisions than this.
Right. I mean, like, legitimately, there's so much to like here in this movie. There's just a couple of different little, and to me, they're nitpicky. I know to you, they're not. To me, they're nitpicky because, again, I definitely suspend my belief, my reality meter when I'm watching a movie, because you have to, pretty much for any movie you're watching. Like, do I believe that this thing could happen in real world? No. Like, it's a movie. I'm enjoying it for entertainment value. But yeah, it's something silly like her not putting her shoes on. Just for some reason that stuck in my craw. I was just like, at this point,
Yeah.
you got your shoes on because you're under attack and you need to be ready to go. You know,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I
and
mean,
also she makes so much noise.
so much,
Like
Yeah,
she's trying to hide and she makes so much noise.
so much noise. Just
You know,
loud.
knocking pictures off the wall as she's like sliding down the hallway. She gets into that closet and is knocking things over. I was
Yeah.
just like, girl, come on.
They're just making bad decisions left and right. Oh, go ahead.
And I mean, that could possibly be part of the point. If that was what the writer wanted, was these people got killed because, you know, these bumbling attackers found the two worst people in the world at self-preservation.
Yes.
Mission accomplished. You
See,
know?
but I didn't think that the home invaders really seemed that inept. I thought that they were doing a good job of terrifying these people. I had no problem with the attackers, really, to be honest with you. I had a problem with the victims, not the attackers. I thought the ghouls were really good. I thought they were well played. I thought they were very scary. I liked it. Do we ever even hear the guy in the white mask talk?
No, I think he just does that weird breathing.
Yeah. So I really liked that a lot. I really liked, and I'm not going to jump ahead, but I love when he finally takes his mask off the end. And I'm like, oh, I want to see this guy's face so bad. And they didn't give it to me.
Nope, they don't give it to you.
And I fucking loved that because I was like, I want to see it, but I don't, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, kind of a play back to Black Christmas there, where you're not going to see the killer's face.
No
So,
resolution.
yeah, I thought that was really cool.
All right. So her hiding space is now blown. Kristen comes out of the closet. The doll-faced girl has her at knife point when the masked man throws James back into the picture, leaving him on the floor. James yells at her to run, and she does, but she can't open the window to get out. The lights come back on, and as she steps out into the hall, the masked man attacks, knocking her out. She's dragged back to the living room. It's now daylight, and James and Kristen are tied up. The attackers remove their masks and, despite their pleas, stab Kristen and James repeatedly. The two young boys from the beginning of the movie are now walking along the road. The pickup truck carrying a man and two women stops next to them briefly and takes a Christian pamphlet. Or it's a Mormon pamphlet, probably.
Yeah.
When they get back into the truck, one woman's voice says, "It'll be easier next time." So that plays back to this being their first time. The boys go into the house and discover the bloody mess. Just as one of them reaches for Kristen to see if she's still breathing, her eyes fly open and she screams, grabbing his hand. And that got me too. I was expecting that. So, you know.
Yeah. Tony, go ahead and take the end here.
Again, I'm huge on camera work, and this movie's just got it in spades.
Yep.
Just, you know, when they side view of Kristen and Scott just doing their thing, knocked out, leaning over. Then we cut to the back of them. And it's this full shot of the three of them, the three getting in front of the two of them. And again, I keep using the word opposing, but it's just imposing.
Yes.
It's crazy how they tower. Again, lion to prey. You know, now they're just playing with them. So, like you said, they all remove their masks one at a time. Each one takes turns stabbing. That way, they all are getting their experience. And you know, the begging and pleading. It's like most. I got this is my big criticism is like it felt so forced. The whole the love thing. Look, I'm wearing the ring, and I love you. Like
I just told you that I can't marry you, but I love you and I'm wearing your ring. Like
it's like that's the one thing that bothered me. It's like keep begging for. That's what a normal thing would do. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill him. And you know, just like whatever. Just don't do that.
Right.
And then they kill them. And again, that scene with, you know, the girl gets out of the truck to the two Mormon kids. He's like, "Are you a sinner?" Sometimes. And it's just like, oh, it's so creepy because they just killed someone. Again, in the commentary that I found out is that there's a cut scene that after they kill them, they all stand up, they all go wash up, we go into Kristen and Scott's clothes, and they put on their clothes. So when they get out of the truck, that's Kristen's clothes.
Oh.
So they're wearing their clothes.
That's creepy. Well, they did put Kristen back in the dress because Kristen had changed out of it at some point.
Right.
Yeah, and they put her back in it for the end for some reason. And I don't know if it was because that's when they first saw them, that's what they were wearing or what, but
I never even picked up on that.
Yeah.
I wonder if they took Polaroids.
Jesus.
So, all right. So Liv Tyler now is in the kitchen with the one girl standing in front of her, and the girl's got the kitchen knife, right?
Yes.
This is where Liv Tyler has her chance to fight for her own life. I mean, we're getting to the end now. She realizes these people are there to kill them, period. I mean, Dylan, are you going to not give it one shot, at least one shot to fight for your life here? You could attack this girl with everything you have, maybe get the knife, maybe kill her, maybe get out. But Liv Tyler just fucking rolls over, man. All right, fuck it. What am I gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we're talking about me, I mean, I'd probably be scared to death, but I think I'd be throwing whatever I could at her to try to knock her off her game, like throwing a toaster at her if I had to,
Yeah, I mean,
then trying to bum rush her just to try to
anybody would
save
be
my
scared.
just to try to save my own life. But again, it's a movie, and you
Yeah,
knew where the end was headed. And but the thing is like, if Kristen had started doing that at this point in the movie, it wouldn't have been believable to me because that's not who she's been in this movie.
yeah, she's been a scared
Right.
lamb that's just been like fucking eat me wolf the entire time. and James on the floor, run. It's like, dude, drag your ass up off the floor and kick, spit, bite, do something. Show some fucking courage. Do something.
Yeah, also, the actor, I know him from like the Underworld movies where he was like this kick-ass werewolf thing. And it's like, to see him like this, it's like, oh, dude, come on.
This dude put up no fight throughout this entire movie. He showed zero resistance. I mean, for a guy with every tool to get him and his fiance out of that house safely, he showed zero resistance against his clan. But with that being said, the end of this movie fucking terrified me. And I'll tell you why. The way these killers kill them, they're not stabbing them in a fucking frenzy. No, they are slowly pushing the knife into them. And the way they're doing it is like almost like perverted, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I can see that.
they're like savoring each inch of the knife going in and putting it in slowly, and kind of like you can see them looking at their expressions on their faces as they're slowly killing them. And that did kind of ring to the Sharon Tate thing for me, where she's saying, she's screaming, "You're killing me. Stop. You're killing me."
Yeah.
And I was getting that chill. And I thought it was way more effective than if they had brutally stabbed them in a frenzy like a bunch of hyenas. I think that would have been cheap. I thought the way they did it was like really creepy and effective. So yeah, kudos to the director for that choice. It really worked.
Yeah. And I really like that Tony said that there was a deleted scene where they washed up, because I was thinking to myself, like, they just killed these people and they get out of the truck and talk to these kids, and the kids didn't see blood all over them. So
Yeah.
now that I know that, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, they obviously took their time. They enjoyed it. They undressed and dressed their victims. The guy in the mask, he opted to take the mask off so his victims could see his face. I mean, this was very deliberate. And it wasn't like a frenzied kill at the end. It was like a savored experience for these three psychopaths. And I thought it was extremely effective, and it scared me a lot. And this is right about the time the UPS guy knocked on the door.
Again, going back to that, another deleted scene is the cutie pie face. When she takes off her mask, she gets down, gets face to face with him.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "I'm sorry," and then stabs him.
Oh,
so
interesting.
again, all the cuts they made really changed the whole, I feel if they left them in, it would be even scarier.
Yeah.
Then why are you doing this,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because they get that line, like you said, "Are you a sinner?" And she says, "Sometimes." So It also made me, question what these people are in their everyday life. Like, are these kids from like overly Christian homes, or, you know what I mean? Like, who are these three kids in their everyday life?
Like, I was wondering why they even stopped to talk to these boys. Like, why would you want to stop and talk to people that could say, "I saw these people on the road," So
Well, yeah, because it's
just
creepy.
The emotion, her voice is so emotionless. It's just disturbing anyway. So they're not right.
Oh, totally.
It's definitely something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought it was really cool, and I think the movie would have benefited from just a little tiny bit of exposition telling us that this is going to be their first kill. Like, would have been kind of cool if maybe we could have just heard them talking in the truck as they're driving, even if we don't right away realize that these are the killers, and saying, this time we're going all the way. This time we're gonna really do it. So, because I thought that added a little bit of creepiness to it, and a little tension. Like, are they gonna do it or aren't they gonna do it? Are they gonna actually follow through with this kill at the end? Is she gonna stick the knife in them?
Yeah.
And especially adding back that scene where she says, "I'm sorry," right before she does it, because then when she says, "I'm sorry," you'd be saying, "Oh, they're gonna fucking chicken out. They're not gonna do it now." And then she sinks the knife, and you're like, "Oh."
Yeah, sometimes they do remove things that probably would have made it better if they left it in,
No, a few of these definitely.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, I'm sure that part of it was left to inspire people to use their imaginations. And but yeah, I think I would have liked to have known that.
so I take a movie like this, and then I take a movie like Black Christmas, per se. And, Black Christmas, I mean, the only thing it really suffered from was the fact that it was shot so long ago that, you don't get the bells and the whistles. It's not a shiny, brand new toy like this. I mean, you've got that old movie making feel, which is very cool. Don't get me wrong. But I wonder what would happen if you could take such a great plot in a movie like that and shoot it with today's technology, like this camera work and this ultra color and this great sound.
They redid Black Christmas, but didn't they change it? Yeah, they changed it a lot, didn't they?
I know, well, they wanted to make the kills more vicious.
Oh,
Thing is,
And that was the charm to the first one, was that they didn't do that.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's
I
like
had heard that it didn't do well.
It's not very good at all.
Oh, well, if anybody have anything else to say about this one?
No, I'm done.
No, you ruined it for me.
Fuck, I tried, Tony. I didn't want to ruin this for you. I didn't.
No.
I didn't, but I had, and I tried to be as diplomatic as I could with it. But I definitely had problems with the storytelling in this one. It was a lot. So, Dylan, what's your rewatch score and your final thought on The Strangers?
So my final thought is, like Tony was saying, there's some awesome camera work here. Although I didn't like the handheld camera earlier in the movie, by the time you get to like the attacks and all that happening, it's brilliant because it makes you unsettled. It gives you that feeling of not being stable. So I really appreciated it there. And I definitely had some problems with some of the storytelling, but at the same time, I kind of saw that that's what the plan was, that the director and the writers were going for. So I just kind of let it go. So I would say I'm going to give it a 4.
A 4 from Dylan.
Mhm.
Okay. Tony?
I'm going to agree with pretty much everything Dylan said. It's the fact that this is an annual watch for me every Halloween season. It's one of the few movies that actually gets under my skin because it does a lot of things that most movies don't, which is give you less. You get these 3 killers, misdirection, tense, sound effects, all that added to the scares that they didn't need a big budget to go. It's literally just 3 normal people who decide they wanted to kill that day. And that's what creeps me out the most about it, is it can happen if you don't have a shotgun.
It does.
Yeah.
And so it's going to always be one of my favorites because it can be real. It's shot like it's real. Very bad choices. I'm still going to give it a 4.5.
A 4.5. Okay.
Yep.
So talking through the movie with you guys, I warmed up to the idea a little more because, like I had said from the beginning, I love the way the movie looked. I love the soundtrack. I love the way it sounded. I thought the 3 killers were very good. And now learning that, these were, these crazy kids that had been terrorizing people and had finally decided to take it to the next step, that matters to me. I think that if you would put 2 victims that had less potential to fight these kids off, okay? This is the problem I had. there was too much potential there with the shotgun, with the size of James, with the size of Kristen, and with the size of the three killers. It just seemed like too fair of a fight, if not the scale being tipped in the favor of the victim. So this was the only problem I had with this movie. You put in two mousier, weaker victims, take the shotgun out, and make them more mice in the paws of a cat. And this movie is almost a perfect horror movie for me. So that was my problem with it. That's my only problem. Okay. I was going to give this a 2, but after you guys talked me through it a little bit, I'm going to forgive these plot holes. Well, not even plot holes. These bumbling mistakes that these victims made. This movie for me is a 3.25, just because I like the guy in the mask. So with my 3.25, Tony's 4.5, and Dylan's 4.0, and because I want Tony to continue coming on the podcast, I'm going to give this movie a 4.25 rewatch. This is a great movie. If you can suspend your disbelief just a little bit and look past Christian and James being total morons, I think you'll have a fun ride with this one. It's scary. It's sexy. It's a good horror movie. So if you haven't seen The Strangers, what are you waiting for? Go see that movie. Next week, we will be back where we will be discussing The Rock and Kevin Hart in the movie Central Intelligence. This movie cracked me up. I fucking love this movie. We will be discussing it with Pat, the podcaster with a fully packed bong and a jar of Skippy peanut butter and a jar of frosting, which he likes to double dip while he watches movies. Super healthy. I want to thank Tony for joining us for another successful edition of Tony's Tales of Terror. Dylan, you know I love watching movies from separate bedrooms with you and then discussing them. And I want to thank the listeners for stopping by and listening to the show. Please leave a review for the show. It helps the show grow. Leave your suggestions. We love to hear from you. Leave your suggestions for movies. If we hear something we like, we'll consider doing it on the air. We'll give you a shout out. And yeah, that's it. So until next time, let me ask you one question. Hey, did you ever see that movie? See you later.
Bye.
See ya.